we just read the news about Argylle and the writer not being Taylor Swift.
Oh, yeah. So, T. Swift did not write Argylle.
Right. Which I, honestly, I mean, who knows? Like, that woman surprises me.
I know, right? I totally bought it. I was like, yeah, that tracks. Like, she can do anything, right?
I figured it was, like, just because it wasn't, like, leaked marketing. It was just, like, the Swifties, like, coming up with, like, well, the cat in the movie is a Scottish fold, and Taylor has a Scottish fold.
Like,
and Taylor had red hair, and Bryce has red hair, and...
Yeah, so I read the article, so I've read one article, so I'm obviously an expert.
Right.
So apparently it was a screenwriter and a novelist that the director hired to write this book as if the character of this movie were writing the book, right?
Right, yes.
And then you said that it was like a different screenwriter that wrote the screenplay, which...
Yeah, the screenplay is written by an additional screenwriter.
Which is just way to hire so many writers, Matthew Vaughn. But they also weren't allowed to say that they wrote it.
Yeah, like
which I think is funny.
One of the novelists, like, attached to it, who actually did write it, was rumored to have written it just because of, like, I guess it's her style of writing, and, like, it just kind of made sense that she would be the ghostwriter. It kind of reminds me of Richard Linklater and, like, how he, like, you know, made a movie that took place over decades.
Yeah.
And just, like, creative filmmaking.
But yeah, but I'm also just, like, fascinated by, like, this, like, kind of, like, niche, like, pseudo guerrilla marketing thing that he had in his head. He must have had in his head about there's going to be controversy about who the writer is. I doubt he thought it would go as well as, like, people thinking it was Taylor Swift. But in the article I read, it sort of seemed like, because one of the things too is that she has that backpack with the cat. And I guess they saw a picture of Taylor Swift with the backpack with her cat in it and were like, oh, this writer would totally do this.
Yeah.
And so, like, that's, like, one of the reasons that the Swifties, like, totally jumped on board.
Yeah.
But I do love that idea that he was like, I bet this could go, like, viral if I just make them keep this a secret for no reason. But let's see what happens. Like, sneaky.
And keeping things a secret. Like, we've seen it done, like, with other, like, big features of, like, hiding cameos and, like, if done well, it works really well. It's just, I think it's really fun. I think it's clever and well executed. The fact that he got the Taylor Swift crowd riled up is, like, huge. So yeah, Queer Eye. I feel like it's just, it's like one of those shows, like, everybody could really use right now. Like,
to reinstill our faith in humanity, because let me tell you, it's the gas tank is empty there.
Yeah, and I appreciate, you know, the Fab Five for kind of just, like, going out and, like, meeting with people who probably stereotypically wouldn't be accepting of a group like that coming in. And I think that kind of was at its origin, like, when the show, like, before this reiteration.
Right, yeah.
Was kind of part of the purpose of the show, was to kind of bridge, you know, that gap. But I'm just so happy they're doing it again, and that I really hope that it reaches people who wouldn't normally view that kind of content.
Yeah, I wonder about that sometimes, because obviously, like, I'm watching it, but, like, I would be friends with all of them, and I am friends with people, like, from those walks of life, you know, so, like, it's not groundbreaking, like, that I'm watching acceptance bloom in places that it may not have originally been.
Yeah. I guess on the flip side, though, like, you know, I speak for me or us, like, getting from it is being introduced to walks of life that, you know, yeah, the Fab Five, like, they're, like, someone I would be friends with in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
But maybe some of the people that they're helping aren't necessarily people that I would encounter on a daily basis. Especially when, you know, they've spent most of the seasons, like, in big cities.
Yeah,
but
they go
more
to, like,
middle America.
Yeah.
And they go to
rural
parts of the cities.
Outside of the city and whatever. Yeah, no, definitely. I mean...
So I think, you know, we're, and, like, who we are, like, we're a built-in audience. Like, we're the demographic.
Yeah.
And I think that, yeah, I think exposing that demographic to... in the same way is a great way to kind of just, like, bridge the gap again. VPR episode 2.
Yeah, recap. I'm bored.
Yeah, you know.
That's my take-home message right now.
Nothing's happened.
Yeah, like, they made it seem like, okay, last week we, like, established the world and where we're at, because obviously their level of celebrity, like, now we're going back in time, so you gotta, like, remind us.
Yeah.
Because... we all know what's going on now.
And, like, what's about to play out in some capacity.
Yeah, so I felt like, okay, yeah, I wasn't expecting a whole lot from last week.
Yeah. I mean, I think it kind of speaks to, like, what we were talking about, how they've reached a level of celebrity that their story is getting out by fans now and, like, social media. So, like... there's, like, no new news, really.
Well, yeah, and I'm just curious, like, if it's, like, I know that there will be things that come out that, like, are not known or whatever. But also, I'm just, like, is that why these, like, first couple of episodes have just kind of, like, fallen a little flat? Because we know all this already? And, like, what does...
that's how it feels to me, is that it's...
yeah, but, like, what is, like, reality... like, are they just too famous for a reality TV show? But, I mean, like, the Kardashians have been milking it forever, so...
yeah. You know what I'm thinking, too, is... so far, we haven't seen a lot of, like, at-home private life stuff, and that would be the stuff that we... would be new material. Like, that we haven't, like, kind of seen or have been kind of exposed to from... news and social media.
Yeah, because I feel like right now it's all just been still about Scandival. Which obviously this is like 3 months after it happened. So, like, this is still what's going on in their lives.
Yes.
So I understand that. But it's all just been kind of like rehashing like how everyone feels about it.
You know what it is for me is I feel like I'm burnt out on the Scandival thing. I'm, like, kind of over it.
Yeah.
And... the show is not, because of where it takes place in time.
Yeah.
And so just, like, listening to Sandoval, like, continuously whine is just so grating that I'm just like, oh my God, shut up.
I mean, but also, too, I think maybe that's just his personality. Like... he's just such a victim.
Yeah.
And, like, I think back, they, like, show other, like, clips or whatever from him in the past. And he kind of was like that about fucking everything.
Yeah, he was never my favorite. I think now he's become, like... he was never, like, a key play. He was always, like, one of the main. But now it's, like, Tom and Ariana and Scandival.
Yeah.
And it's, like, I don't care enough about him to, like... want to, like, continue to cover this.
Does he not have, like, people kind of, like, maybe telling him, hey, this, like, one trick pony that you've been trotting out is a loser. Like, you need a new strategy.
Yeah.
Because
I feel like
he's just not even a satisfying villain. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, he's just mealy-mouthed and kind of a wuss, and, like, it's like you want to put him in, like, penitencia, like, time out, where it's like, go sit with your feelings for a while and come back when you're ready to talk, like a grown-up.
Yeah, he everything that comes out of his mouth is an excuse. Yeah. Like, he's never owned up to anything. He's never really apologized. Every apology comes with a but, so it's not a real apology.
No.
And I think that, like, anyone, like, watching it is just getting burnt out on it, because it's just like, oh my god, like, shut up. Like.
Well, and it's like, at least, like, with Jax, it's like, he was awful.
Yeah.
But that was his thing, and he leaned into it hard and did some awful, crazy shit. And I just get the feeling like Sandoval, like, wants people to, like, see his point of view and like him.
Yeah.
Whereas Jax was like, I don't give a fuck. I'm making money. Like,
yeah. I mean, Jax leaned into the villain character. Like, knows that he's on reality television, knows that there are villain characters, and thought, I can do this.
Yeah. Well,
I'm one of them.
Yeah.
I'm gonna play that role because I'm getting paid to play that role.
And I feel like it feels like, because Sandoval keeps bringing up all this, like, and hashing out all this, like, shit, like, he almost, like, wants to be that. Like, that's the role that he's gonna play in the, like, show or whatever. But he's just not good at it, because he secretly isn't okay with people not liking him.
I feel like I agree, but, like, in a little bit of a different view. Like, I don't think he thinks of himself as the villain. I think he thinks this is being put on him, and that's not who he is, and that's why he's making up all of these excuses and, like, trying to, like, convince himself a lot and everyone else that, like, you know, he's not the bad guy in this.
Well, then he's fucking crazy. Delusional.
Yeah. I mean, he is. Like, the way he's, like, handling everything, the way he's going into, like, showing up late to, you know, the Vile Interview podcast.
Oh, my God.
And then just, like, lying about stuff outright. Like,
yeah. It's just like a sad, pathetic attempt to be, like, what, entertaining, to cling to your, like, do you really want those to be your 15 minutes?
Yeah, I just don't, like, he's trying so hard to, like, vindicate himself, and, like, even Schwartz is just like, you need to take it and apologize. Yeah. That's all that needs to come out of your mouth, and that's the only thing that isn't coming out of his mouth.
Yeah.
Is an apology.
Yeah, because every apology, there's, like, rationalization afterwards, like, oh, I'm sorry I did that, but
yeah,
this is why, and you did this. And
yeah,
it's like, well, then go fuck yourself. Like,
yeah. And honestly, I think that, like, I just want more from everybody else. Like, I'm super interested to hear Sheena talk more about her OCD diagnosis.
I know, I think it's cool that she, like, brought that up, like, in the first episode, like, and stuff.
That it's part of postpartum.
Yeah.
Because I don't, like, that's not something I'm familiar with.
I didn't know about postpartum OCD. I mean, it makes total sense.
Absolutely.
And, like, when she explains it, I'm like, yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah.
And, like, it is obviously just sort of, like, in, like, the postpartum depression, like, world. But I think, like, it's nice to hear someone, like, talk about their, like, specific diagnosis, and that it can be different than, like, what you think of as, like, postpartum depression. Because I think, like, especially, like, with female healthcare, it's like everything gets glommed into, like, these big categories, whereas even, like, women who I think we're both pretty, like, educated about, like, our bodies and, like, what goes on with them.
Right.
I mean, I have 45 doctors, so, like, you know, I try to keep up on this stuff, but, like, even I don't know some of this shit because, like, it's not talked about. So I think that's really cool that she's getting into it.
Especially, like, female health care is, like, something that is only recently kind of being addressed at all.
Yeah.
So I think it's really great that somebody who is a public figure is, like, taking the opportunity. So, yeah, I'm curious to, like, kind of hear more about her experience with that and...
Yeah, and how it, like, goes.
Yeah.
With everything.
I was, like, a little annoyed at Brock with how he was dealing with her, but then by the end when he was like... See, obviously we need to talk about this. There's a lot of feelings. I was like, okay, he was coming from the right place. I was happy to see. It's nice to see some, like, healthy non-traditional families just kind of working through things in like in a productive and healthy way.
And who the fuck would have thought it was going to be Sheena and Brock? But like, snaps to you guys. I'm here for it.
Yeah.
I was super skeptical.
Yeah.
In the beginning, but yes.
Yeah, they
golf
seem to
clap,
be
guys. Golf clap.
Fantastic. Also, super impressed with Lala. She just kind of has this like extended family who's like, her mom is home, her brother, and like she's got like other extended like kind of like her found family who seems to be very involved.
Lala just also seems like, what are they putting in her water? Because she seems very like Earth Mother Zen, which would never be anything. I mean, I'm sure we're going to see crazy Lala at some point.
Yeah.
Because you can only hold that in for so long. But just, she seems very, like, mature and, like...
Has done and said some really mature things. I'm like, growth. It's kind of... I feel like all of the, like, Katie, like, her relationship now with Schwartz seems like it's such a good place. She's just like bemused by him now. She just like looks at him like he's like an animal in a zoo.
Well, he did come talk to Lisa and she was like, let's go for a walk. She doesn't even want to be at the same table with him.
Oh, yeah. Well, but she'll like hang out with him.
I know, but that was my favorite reaction. Sure.
That's what I mean. She's just like totally unbothered. Like it's like seems like a really healthy.
I mean, it's also like, how can you possibly even be that like upset or worried about your breakup with like Schwartz looks like he's like holding on by like his like fingernails. You won the breakup.
I almost feel bad for Schwartz. Like, he's kind of, like created this own hellscape for himself.
It's totally his fault, but it is...
He's had a string of bad luck.
But it is not. And then, like, his brother's sick.
Yeah.
And, like, there's a lot going on for Schwartz. And...
his business is failing. His marriage failed.
I don't think he has, like...
his house is a mess.
Yeah, I don't think he has, like, the tools inside to be able to go through all of this without his best friend, who is totally MIA, if not physically, for sure emotionally.
Oh,
and that just fucking sucks, because all Sandoval can talk about is himself and how it's fucked up his life, and it's like, but Schwartz needed his best friend.
Yeah.
And...
yeah, he was just honestly never, like, I don't know that Sandoval ever really had Schwartz's best interest at heart. I feel like that is a classic narcissist.
Well, yeah, but also...
but it's still really sad for Schwartz.
But yeah, that's what I mean.
Because Schwartz doesn't really have anybody.
Yeah, because...
he had Katie and Sandoval, and he...
picked Sandoval, and he picked wrong.
Yeah.
Because if he'd put as much effort into his relationship with Katie that he put into his relationship with Sandoval, they probably would still be together.
Yeah.
And she would be a much better person to have your back. I mean, listen.
Yeah.
Sasquatch would be a much better person to have your back. Like,
yeah.
Sandoval is just, whether he's actually just a full-on narcissist or, like, he's just really leaning into that coping strategy hard right now, he is right now. And, like, that's just a fact.
Yeah. Yeah, it just he's displaying narcissistic behaviors and gaslighting behavior, like, and it's not like even controversial to say because you can Google and there'll be receipts, like, it's not.
Yeah, no, I have no problem whatsoever with saying that he's being a narcissistic tool bag right now.
Yeah, when James went off and was like, and what do I need? I don't need friends. I'm a, like, 30-something-year-old man, and blah, 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 blah. And I was like, whoa. That whole rant is, like, the beginning of a dissertation as to why men need friends.
And need friends.
And that's, like, the kind of theme of this episode, is, like, Schwartz needed a friend, like, I mean, Sandoval needs a friend too, but like he's pushed them all away.
Yeah.
And it feels like the people left in his life from his birthday party are just total sycophants.
I know.
Like, they're like paid actors at his party.
Yeah, you got to think like how many of those people just like hope like, oh, I'm a server at Sir, like maybe I can like become like famous by coming to this sad sack of a birthday party.
Yeah. It was depressing. Yeah. But James, talking about how he doesn't know. Men
need friends.
friends.
Everybody needs friends.
Yeah, I mean, that's why women live longer. Like, there have been scientific studies done that, like, because women have community and friendships in a way that a lot of men don't have.
Yeah.
And we know that, like, proven by science that something kind of magical happens when we, like, talk about things. It lessens the burden of them.
Yeah, it lowers your cortisol levels. That, like, literally is a stress response in your body that kills you slowly.
Yeah.
So,
science. Like, actual science.